Right. All right, so moving right along into the show and tell portion. Jim, you're not building quite yet, but you'd like to share something. Here's your opportunity.
I don't really have anything to share right now.
Okay, all right. Just gonna go.
Thank you for asking.
Kevin, how about yourself?
Well, I can show you a little bit of the carving I've been doing. Rylan can tell you a little bit about what we learned, which was really the very basics. So the key was that when we got home to start practicing. So I've been doing that, and I'll show you a few of the, if I can find where this camera is. Where is it?
I didn't see your left. I did not.
There we go.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. Wow.
Very nice.
This is some of the stuff I've been doing.
Wow. Very nice.
And just to keep a record of it.
What tool are you using? Go back a little bit, hold still, just so we can look at the detail that you put. There you go, right there.
Oh, yeah, that's
Perfect.
how's that going?
All different types of woods to try and figure out what's the best wood.
What tool are you using?
You froze? Okay.
Backyard tools. And lots of knives. Lee Valley. And more Lee Valley. It's really just a learning process. And it's gotten a lot better. My models are suffering because I'm not working on my model, which you can see in the background. But I'm going to continue to learn until the new year and then go back to modeling. Because it does take over your life.
Oh, it's excellent work.
So what is in the background?
That's the Thorn. This is a Swan class. That she's probably got 2 months of work left. She's scratch built following David Anshel and Greg Herbert's build. Really fantastic. She's only 8 years in the works, but
8 years.
I've had to stop a few times because I didn't have the skills and I need to acquire the skills. That's, again, the carving is a perfect example of that. I'm reaching the stage where I need to do some carvings, and I had never done carving, so that's why the course was so timely. And I'm at the stage now where I actually probably could do the carvings, but I'll work on it for a little while before attempting it.
Really nice. Yeah. Really nice.
And if you're interested, there are a few hundred videos on YouTube that take this build from the start to where I am now.
He has a YouTube channel.
Oh, your own YouTube channel.
And
What is it called?
They're great videos, by the way. I've seen a few. Very good.
Yeah, it's the build of the HMS Thorn. It'll be under my name, Kevin Kenny.
Very
And
good.
we're up to 117 videos, which run from 12 to 20 minutes.
Excellent. Look forward to looking for it. Thank you. Mort, what you got going on now?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm working on framing the Arm Virginia sloop. I'm fairing the hull, which for me is the most difficult part. And hopefully I'll get it done this week, the fairing, and then I'll start the planking. It's an interesting kit. It's a nice little kit. It really is.
Can you hold it up again and just let's see? Wow.
What's involved with fairing? How do you do that?
I'm sorry, say again.
What's involved with fairing and how are you doing that?
Shaping the bulkheads. Shaping the bulkheads so the planks lay flat against the bulkheads. So there's no gap. And then when you plank the hull, it's a smooth, even hull. You don't have to use wood filler to fill in any ridges in the hull.
Need the high points.
You're doing that with sandpaper, and how do you, a straight edge, how are you doing that?
I use a file and some sandpaper. I use nail files that that a manicurist might use. I also have a long piece of sandpaper on a wooden strip. And then I have small files, small rasps and small files. I have some and Gros Bay files, very mini files if I need them. It all depending on what has to be done.
And if you noticed his model, it was the frames were laser cut. And when you sand, you always want to, like around the front, you want to leave that back. You could use that laser to keep that laser burn on the back part of that bulkhead edge, and that keeps the profile. Because if you take that off, then you're changing the profile of the model.
That makes sense.
Did I explain that?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this is the first laser cut model I've ever done, and I think it's going to be the last one also. Because I'm really not happy with it at all. Not at all.
How come?
Because you can misshape the bulkheads, and then you've got to refair them. And I didn't realize it, and I did on a couple of them. So it's like you go one step forward and two steps backwards.
Isn't that typical of this hobby?
Whose kid is this?
Model
Model
ship.
shipways, and it's for beginners. It's a beginner kit. I bought the kit maybe 20 years ago, and I had it. So I figured I would do it after the victory, like a cleansing thing to do.
Some cleansing, maybe you should have started with something more advanced.
It is a beginner's model because it's the first one I built.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. All righty, Mort, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir. One of the problems that I had was when I built mine, I got the Morgan. And the problem is that whenever I took the bulkheads and try to sand them down, is it better to sand them down according to the plans or wait until you build the hull and then fair it?
I think it's a matter of taste. Whatever you feel more comfortable doing. I've done it both ways. It's on a larger model, I'd rather glue the frames to the keel and do it that way.
Yeah,
But it's a matter of taste.
you really on kits like that, if you're doing a scratch bulwark model, plank on bulkhead, you put the frames much closer together. Okay, on a kit model, doing it, trying to fair those before you glue them to the keel will be a disaster.
And that's what model shipways recommend. But
Yeah.
I didn't do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, if they're cut wrong, they're cut wrong. But if they're cut accurately, you need to fair them on the keel.
Okay.
You have to make sure they're squared up on the keel and fair them on the keel. If you try otherwise, because no matter how good the plans are or you think they are, when you put two pieces together, a few thousandths of an inch could really screw you up. So no matter how good the plans are, they can't account for variability of how it's assembled.
Thank you.
Has anybody ever taken a kit like that and added extra ribs in between to be more realistic? To know how to worship? Take a kit.
Well, that's actually a fairly common practice. What they do is not ribs. Just take pieces of wood, fill it up, and then just blend it in. That's a common practice. You go on the shipwreck side. Any number of people would do.
Fill it in with solid.
Some
Yeah,
light
some people will
wood.
fill in with blocks of wood and basically convert plank on bulkhead model into
Like on
a
front.
solid hull model.
Yeah.
Solid. Yeah, I was looking to break bike on bulkhead.
That's fairly common.
That's what Bob Hunt recommends in some of his practicums, to fill it in. He says it's easier to plank. And I guess in some respects it is.
Easier. I was
Yeah.
wondering what the purpose is. Easier to play.
Right. A lot of people will do the, at the bow.
More accurate. Because you get your straight, you get your nice lines.
Proper curves, yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of kits have just, that don't where you fill in, will have fillers for the bow, you know, so that you can have something to plank as you curve around. And you can work that and get it nice and smooth and symmetrical.
I'm doing that right now on the model that I'm making of the Seguin. Solid bow and solid stern.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Well, it's
then you can really see the shape of the hull.
Yeah.
You know, if the frames are too far apart, because the next problem is if the frames are too far apart, the planks probably won't lie straight. You
Yep.
can, against the full hull, you can.
See.
All right,
That
thank you.
makes sense. Now that makes sense.
Mr. Jones, do you have anything else to share with us?
Well, just one thing that we talked about last time we were together. I asked about the copper hull on it, and I was really kind of getting concerned because it was starting to peel a little bit, and I could see where there was some verdigris that was starting to form. So I got a 2x4 and a bunch of tape, and I started with different products and tried to see how it was going to look. The best thing to come out was the Rust-Oleum. I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum, and it really looks nice, and it's not changed color or anything. And now I feel like I can pick up the model without hurting the copper plate on it or getting fingerprints or anything on it. So I guess the moral is getting a 2x4, trying different products on copper sheeting to see what looks best, the way I wanted to come out, and then I went with that. On the deck itself, the Morgan is my first one. And I did the thing with putting in pieces of wood between the different bulkheads on it, sanding it down, and that deck is in there pretty solid. It's not going to peel or crack or anything else. So that turned out to be pretty well. So thanks for all the help and recommendations.
This year, meeting,
Did you use a matte finish or a gloss? Clear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Did you use a matte finish or a gloss clear finish?
I used a semi-gloss on it.
All right, very good. All right, how about Mr. John's iPad? How are you doing today? How you doing, John?
Doing okay. Don't have anything to show for today, though.
Nothing. All right. Well, it's good to see you anyways. Oh, how about yourself?
That's that?
No, Joe Lorenzo.
Good morning. Let me just back up to the framing or the fairing of bulkheads. On my wooden Chelsea, what I did to get a symmetrical bow is there's a fair number of fillers in the bow, and it's somewhat of a bluff bow. And instead of gluing them in, I clamped them in on, let's say, the starboard side. And I got them to shape using battens to determine that I had the curvature right. And then I took them off and I drew a grid on them. And then I replicated that same grid spacing on the opposite side on the raw fillers, and then sanded those to the exact curvature of the starboard side, and then ultimately glued them in. And I got what I believe was a perfectly symmetrical looking bow. It turned out quite nice because I've always had trouble in that area because you're always bumping into the keel, or it's just an awkward area to sand, period. So if that helps somebody, I'm glad to offer that. I'm going to move my camera. Hang on.
Do this thing.
Can you all see that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Cheerful.
Yep. I've finally gotten to the point, after some trial and tribulation to get there, I finally started to rig the model. In some ways, it's one of the more enjoyable things for me to do on a model, I guess, because it's approaching a finished state. But on the other hand, it can be extremely aggravating trying to tie clove hitch knots and get the right spacing. For example, my area right now is concentration is the shrouds and the backstays, and getting that all aligned. It is coming out. I use all of the principles I've learned from all of you folks, like spacing the dead eyes correctly and so on and so forth. The problem I've had is Chuck delivers excellent instructions and calls out certain block sizes and fittings. Unfortunately, they're not available on his website right now, so I've been scrambling around to find appropriate fittings, I'll say, blocks to make this come out right. But I'm getting there, and hopefully I can finish this and get back onto my Winn Chelsea. I abandoned my first pass at Winn Chelsea because I created the model superstructure, if you will, with CNC machining, and that actually got me in a fair amount of trouble. So I found somebody online in the trade section who abandoned the kit. So I've rebought the hollow parts again, chapter 1, and I'm starting again as soon as Cheerful is done. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a Winn Chelsea being built here in our club by Sean Balone.
I've been following him, and I saw the notes in the minutes, and I just would add an epitaph on Jim Burns. He was so nice to me early on, and I had tried to contact him early on this year about something, and I never heard from him. Now I know why. That's a tragic loss of a good person and a brilliant modeler and machine maker. Sad to see that.
And he also had a lot of works, a couple more machines that he was developing that did not come to completion.
I suspected that. I had asked him about some machinery, and that was part of my query, and I never got an answer. Life.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joe. Thanks again. Tom, are you still around?
Yeah, I'm here, and hang on.
Are you on land? Okay. There you
Yeah,
go.
he's just.
Here I am. Yeah, so I haven't touched Titanic in about a month. I just been real busy with a bunch of other stuff going on. I wanted to have it done by Christmas. Obviously, that didn't happen. Where I'm at now is I have to put the masts on and rig them, and then I have to do the boat davits and the boats. I'll actually, when I start doing them, I'll take copious photographs and put them up so I could show them at another show and tell. But I wanted to show you. Let me show you something that's been taken that was taking a bunch of my time. Just a second. Just give me 1 second.
What?
Okay, I don't know if you could see this.
Oh, that's your pet.
That's not my pet. That came down my chimney.
What is it? Squirrel.
And to make a very long, sad story short, when he came down, I got a bucket over the top of him and trying to get something underneath him to take him out of the house. I had work gloves on and I grabbed him and he went to fling him out the door and he bit my thumb. So I had to do a rabies protocol, which was not a lot of fun. The next day, I got the reason why I have this picture is because the doctor wanted a picture of it, and she told me, she says, "Well, the good news is that flying squirrels don't carry rabies, so but you already had the really nasty shot, so you might as well just complete the protocol." So that's what I did. I actually got him out of the house by trapping him between the screen and the sliding door. That's how I got him out of the house. And the learning on this is make sure you have a cap on your chimney. So I took care of that. But anyhow, so when I'm done with the davits are all photo etch, and they stand roughly 1/8 of an inch wide, and there are 8 separate photo etched parts in each davit. So I'm trying to, I think I have a plan on how I'm going to do this, but once I get going on the plan, I will, make photographs. And then the other thing I got, which is why I'm monkeying around a little bit while I'm online with you folks, is this week I was at a business meeting, even though I'm retired, and all of a sudden my internet connection stopped working, and now I find out that it looks like that my Wi-Fi adapter has got a problem. So the reason why this is quirky is because I'm hardwired so I can go online, but I don't know the problem, and frankly, it's frustrating the heck out of me. But it's an 8-year-old computer, so it is what it is. Anyway, enough said. I hope next meeting I'll have masks and I'll have some more information to give you folks. I'm really excited about getting these davits done, because once I get them going, I've seen pictures of them done. They really look slick. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Tommy. John Ork, are you with us? Mr. Cork? Yes, he's not here. All right, how about you, Mr. Ficklen? Are you with us? There you go. Got something to show?
I am. I really haven't been working on wooden ship models too much, except for I got the frame of the picket boat #1 from Model Shipways, which I bought from Ryland, and starting work on that. And I've also been working on a 1/350 scale model of USS Salem, one of the last heavy cruisers built. I'm building it as USS Newport News, and so I've started working on the photo etch for that, and it's the most detailed stuff I've ever worked on. But kind of for fun, I work on 1/700 scale ships, and this is Emden. a recent model from Flyhawk, the German raider that rampaged through the Indian Ocean in the first year of the First World War. Abukuma, one of the Japanese light cruisers that was at Pearl Harbor. And then the Russian destroyer Tashkent, which was built by the Italians for the Russians and served in the siege of Sevastopol and things like that. So I build these 1/700 scale ships because they're quicker. That's it for me.
Real nice.
Good assessment. All right, very good, John. Thank you. Good mental. Anyone else online that we may have skipped over that has something to share? I think I've covered everybody. Now's your chance to speak up. All right, let's move in-house. Who in-house has something to share?
Stewart.
Yes, Stewart.
Need some more light.
It should go, I'll move it up there. To the front, maybe fine.
Yes.
Hey, you don't want to be just going.
Okay, that's it. We got that. That'd be easier just move the camera.
Whoa, yeah,
Move the camera.
you're right there. Maybe. Cord is a little. Yeah. Just a little sawdust there.
Sawdust there.
Okay, you got it there now. I just wanted to prove to you that I haven't been sitting down there in the taco stand for the last 10 months and not doing anything. I've done almost nothing.
Yeah, almost nothing.
Almost nothing. That doesn't look like that much work, but this is my model of the Captain John Smith shallop that he used for exploring the Chesapeake. It's a Ukrainian kit, which I bought about a year ago, which is a little different. All the parts are pre-cut. I mean, really pre-cut. You have to, of course, punch them out and sand all the laser burn off of them. But even the planks are cut to length and into perfect shape. All you got to do is figure it out.
That's a $64 question.
I think I got it about halfway finished. This big stick in here is not the mast. That's just in there to help me get it aligned properly. Mast is several different pieces. So I just wanted to show it and tell you it's a very difficult model.
Well, I mean, is it the kit design is difficult, or is it the model, the subject?
It's the model.
Inside.
The actual instructions are hard to misinterpret because they're only graphic. There are no
Russian or Ukrainian.
no printed instructions at all. You're just on your own. Each one of the frames that are in there, that you can see, are made up of 3 pieces. As well, I haven't counted them, but there's well over 100 pieces in there so far. And I haven't started the detail yet. That's coming.
What kind of kit did you say that was?
It's Ukrainian. Can't think of the name of it right now.
Yes.
Ships of Pavel.
Yeah, Pavel Nitikin. Ships of Pavel Nitikin.
Olga Ochnov has done a video, I think, on this.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. It got me really interested in getting started on it because I watched her put it together. And she just put a little glue on there and stick the piece on. So,
She did it all in 20 minutes.
yeah, I know. She did it in 20 minutes. I think what she had done was build the damn thing without putting any glue on it. Took it all apart, and then put it back together again. It was.
No jealousy.
Well, she didn't show the sanding of the laser burn off of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I spent more time doing that than anything else, I think. The little parts of the size, half the size of your fingernail, you got to sand the burn off of
Oh,
it, not destroy them.
wow.
Tedious.
It's tedious. Take a long time. For a while, I figured that when I came in for the session at the taco stand, I could try to get on 4 planks in 4 hours. I was lucky to get on 1.
4 days.
And in several cases, I had to go back and take it off again, put it on again. So it was a challenge. And you can see I've got a rail cap on one. Well, I got both of the rail caps on it. They came pre-cut. They're actually 3 pieces. Each cap is 3 different pieces. And they're all pre-cut. So they should just fit right on there perfectly. I got all the hulls all finished and I put the caps on. And one was shorter than the other. I don't know how in the world that is. The actual ball came out a little bit longer on one side than it did on the other.
Just like the real ship.
Yeah. Now, if they were cutting these pieces out, they'd be no problem. It was 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch longer, it won't matter. But the pieces are pre-cut. So it comes up 1/8 of an inch short. Now what are you gonna do? So there's a lot of rework there.
John had a request. Do I try out the burn saw? Yep. John had a request of you, try out the burn saw.
Like a half hole.
Half hole. To get an 1/8 of an inch cut off.
Oh, yeah.
You have 2 models.
Yeah, that might work.
You can leave it glued. Thank you, Stewart.
What is the wood?
They have a full-size example of that over at Deltaville. They built their own,
Yeah,
so
Somebody online had a question.
pretty big boat.
it would be easier to do full scale than it would this scale.
Yes.
What is the wood material?
I don't know. It doesn't specify what it is. I looked because I wanted myself, and no, it's not there.
Ukrainian oak.
Ukrainian oak, yeah. Whatever was left over after the bombing, I guess.
It's got a resemblance of cherry, but I don't, maybe it's a different cherry.
I don't think it is.
Maybe over there, a cherry.
It doesn't bend very well, I can tell you that. Of course, this cradle on here isn't even wood, it's just paper.
All right. Thank
Any
you,
more?
Stewart. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Who else? Yes. Hank.
That's a bag model. That's the bag model. This is the beginnings of HMY, His Majesty's Yacht Royal Caroline. The reason I picked this model to build, in one of his last rides up here with us, Pat Roll, who's a former member, was talking about, he had built Cuddy Sark years back. And it's a nice model, but he said it just doesn't have the majesty of the ships in the 1700s when they had all the brass and the gold and the figures and the statue. And he had a point about that. I look at most of my collection and they're 1800s ships, which are nice ships, but they're more function than forms. They were built for either racing or fishing or something. So I said, yeah, I'd like to have something like that in my collection, something that's built sparkly, pretty with all that stuff. He calls them jewel boxes.
Jewel boxes.
So, but I try to avoid building anything that has gun ports, because going through the hull and having to line up all of those squares all the way down, making sure they're all lined up, and then build the insides, and then have to paint them all, and then gun portless. And I don't want to deal with that. I have built some models that had gun ports on, but they're all on deck guns, bulkheads. So this only has 8 guns. It's 4 on each side, signal guns, and they're on the deck. So I said, yeah, I can do that. So anyway, I got as far as the first 6. I got it fared as best as I could, and I never get it perfect. So always find some areas I have to build a block underneath or something to support it. So the first 6 don't get tapered, so I got those on. Okay. And then the rest of them over there, I've got the planking plan for the rest of it pretty much filled out.
Who's the kit manufacturer?
That's what I'm going to get to here. The kit, it's Pan Art, which is a division of, I forgot now, but it's pretty nice kits. It seems like, because and other Pan Arts that I've seen people build have been good kits. Usually, the woods that I get in these kits are, basswood and lime wood. In fact, when anybody asks me what kind of wood the model's made out of, I said it's boxwood. He says, oh yeah, it's box. Yeah, it's all boxwood. It's wood that comes in a box. But this one here actually has acacia wood. I looked that up and figure out that's a good hardwood, and walnut, spruce, and maple. It's actually woods that I know something about. So anyway, a few more things on the kit. So the kit is so far seems pretty good. The got plan sheets, full size sheets. Got like 7 sheets, but they're drawing sheets, so they got pretty good drawings about everything in the details. But I'm on sheet 1, so I have to see how it goes along. And it's all in Italian, but the instruction book, the translation seems so far to be pretty good on it. So getting the kit. This is the 3rd model kit that I bought off of eBay, and all 3 of them have been complete, no problems with parts, no nothing. So this kit, Model Expo sells for $700. And we know they're high. When they're on their 30% sale, it's $500. There's 2 international companies that I purchased from. They both sell it for $400 plus shipping. Delivered to my house off eBay, $267.
Big difference.
And it's perfect. The only thing I ran into, because when I was looking on the picture that the seller had there, there's a cardboard piece on the top of the kit that has cutouts for all of the brass parts, because there's brass figurines all around this thing. So it must be 20-something brass parts. Well, over time, he said he bought it from a estate sale. So over time, the pieces had popped off the little adhesive that they were stuck to. So some were still under the plastic, and some were kind of hidden in the box there. So the first thing I did was inventoried all of those, fit each one where it was supposed to go on there. So I had all the brass parts, but they were heavily tarnished, really dark. So Mike D'Amato had been talking to me about this a few months ago, because he had bought 2 kits from the estate sale with the same issue with the brass being heavily tarnished. And he did all the legwork for me. He tried all these different products to see what would clean up the brass. He settled the best one that he found to use was Bartender's helpers cream, not blowing these up. So I got some cream, and he says, "Yeah, if I had to do this again, scrub all these things, with toothbrush." And he said, "I get an electric toothbrush." So couldn't find that Bartenders Keeper cream in my local stores for some reason. I had to order that. I ordered an electric toothbrush that had a polish function. So 20-something pieces of brass. I sat down, cleaned them all up like brand new in like an hour and a half. So, and there's some more brass pieces that are coming out, the bowsprit and some other things I'm going to have to do, but I got it all set up for it now. So that's why we have a club, to share information, to get things out there.
If you're missing any, you can carve your own.
Excuse me?
If you're missing any of those brass pieces, you can carve your own.
Oh, I'm sure somebody could. I've got enough trouble just putting these pieces on. So anyway, so this, I'm working on a plank plan. There's 21 more planks on each side, and the bulwarks plank, and the stern to plank, and the counter to plank. And once it's all done, I get to do it all over again because it's a double plank hull. Oh. And so the first planking is 1.5 millimeter. Then the second planking goes to 1 millimeter of acacia, which is sort of a medium brown, light to medium brown wood finish. And so above the water line, this is just natural wood, and below the water line is painted white. So the natural wood with that acacia, I think that's going to come out nice with just putting a clear coat on it, or a natural, or something like that. I'm going to be planking all winter long here, so it's going to be a while before I make that decision. Anyway, I know what I did. I made mast seats in these. Ed had taught me about that some years ago. And I'm glad that I did that, because the holes for the fore and the mizzen didn't quite line up between the upper deck and the lower deck. So I've got them all lined up, and I've got each of the dowels marked as far as forward, which way they fit, so they fit snugly, and I made some pieces around the bottom for them to fit into. So got nice steps with just enough wiggle where I can line them up with the rig and tighten those up. So that's done. This is the first model I built that actually had a lower deck and an upper deck. And that lower deck worked out really nice for lining up bulkheads. So they were pretty well lined up by the time I got to putting it all together and checking squares. Anyway, just going back to it.
Have you figured out how you are going to mount this model?
Yes.
Have you made preparations yet before you close up that hole as to how you go mount it?
No, because I'm going to use Lee, another former member, Lee Martin. He's built this model. He has it in his living room. So I've checked it out whenever I'm over at his house and check things out. And he's got these pieces for gets them from Cornwall. They're really decorative, like dolphins or something like that.
They sit on the dolphins.
They sit on it. So
okay.
I'm not thinking I'm going to have any problems with because this is actually. Because
if you were going to mount, a lot of people will take and put a nut in there, but you got to do it before you close that hole up.
Right. Yeah. And this is pretty thick. If I had to drill into it, but, I think this was. I forget if there's anything in the box that. But it's probably going to just be in a cradle of some type. And if I have to, I'll make something else out of
I think you really ought to go ahead and put a couple of holes in there. Pick out a place where your dolphins are going to be. Put the holes in there. Because if you need them later, they're there. And if you don't need them, you
just cover them up. Yeah.
And what you can do is where you put the holes in, put a couple pieces of scrap wood on both sides to strengthen it up.
Yeah, that's what I used for the mast mounts underneath. Put some scrap on each side there, all together. But yeah, I'll have to look into how it's going to hang. I figure it's going to sit in some kind of a.
It's much easier to ignore the holes than it is to try to figure out how to drill in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I had a question. You said that's a double plank. I'm thinking one of these days I'm going to try a plank on a frame or plank on bulkhead. What happens if you just do a single plank?
Nothing. You just have one plank, but you can do a lot more smoothing on the first layer here to when you put the second layer on, you're not, if you've got any of your high or low spots figured out and planed out, so you can.
Can I say something?
Just float over.
Problem with kids. I mean, I hate kids. Not that I built anything, but these frames, especially in the middle, are a mile apart.
Yeah.
Now, if you got a single plank, you really ought to either fill it up with wood, like I said before, have a lot more frames. More frames you have in, the more accurate your hull is going to be. And people like the dockyard models and all that, they're all single plank. You know, because the frames are close together. Then when you put your plank on there, it keeps the shape. But like you put a thin plank on the center sections of that, you're not going to have it. First of all, maybe not the shape, but it's going to be very. It may deform down the road.
One of your observation's right on. One of the reasons why hulls were double planked is for exactly that reason. The bulkheads are so far apart, and because of what you're using to plank, you're going to get a hollow between the long lanes. A way to fix that is what you do is you put filler pieces between the bulkheads. Okay. And there's no reason, John Shedd used to be the proprietor, the founder and the proprietor. He was the founder and the proprietor of Model Shipways when they were in New Jersey. And he said all of his kits, the ones that he didn't do plank on bulkhead, but in his opinion, the reason why they double plank hulls is because you sand through the first layer. So, but if you look at the higher end kits like the ones that Chuck Pizarro produces at Siren, all of the bulkheads are closer together. And if you're scratch building a plank on bulkhead model, which I've done, you want to put the bulkheads at no more than 1 inch apart. If you go more than that, that's when you run into trouble.
Good point.
There you
All right.
go. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Aaron.
What's the name? What's the name?
Leave that up there so I
Royal Carolina.
Royal Carolina, yeah, Royal Carolina, HMY.
All right. Who else has got something to share? Anybody?
You know that.
Everybody. All right. It's my turn. All right. Let me, what is that? We're all out of time? All right, let me see if I can't, screen share. All righty. Couple of pictures from the Oxford show that we went up. As you can see, it was pretty well attended. There were a lot of empty tables right behind us, which easily have been filled by members not present. So next year, that's your cue to get ready to come on up. Oxford's a nice little town. Historic. There's a couple of things to do, not to mention the show, of course. But this is our booth. Greg, myself, and Don were present with some of our models. Let me see, how do I?
You didn't bring it. Roll your mouse.
Huh? There it goes. Yeah, I brought in my monitor, which was built as an RC model years ago. And obviously, wow, it brought Don to tears.
I was overwhelmed.
We had a good showing. And there were several rooms there filled with workboats that like Don built. Greg came with his fishing boat. I had my PT and the monitor, as I mentioned. Some very nice models, very well attended, and well worth your effort to go. And there's Greg and Mary, our banner, splendid against the wall, attracting attention. So there you go. Next topic, upgrades on my Olympia. I made the water. The crew is slowly coming aboard. That's just an anchor. Not much to see there. But I hope to have it finished by February. The water, like I said, is a little frothy, hence the storm warnings. up in the rigging, justify. The seagulls.
Loaded.
No, it's anchored to the boom. You'll see it there.
Oh, there's.
There's Gertrude and Heathcliff, all buddies.
Oh.
I'll do a talk on water making sometime next year when I get in. And just a supply boat alongside. Like I said, I've still got about a third of the crew yet to paint and mount. And I'm on to rope coils and flaking and stuff like that. And then a little bit of weathering, and then I'll call it quits.
Famous last words.
Yeah. This just. The captain.
Wow.
And there's Dewey himself with his buddy and some dignitaries coming on board.
Captain looked like Gene.
Oddly enough. Yes. Ceremonial sailors on the fantail. Showing the dignitaries a little respect. This is all 1/4 inch, so the figures are probably about an inch and a quarter tall, no more than an inch. I was trying out my my endoscope camera, which is some success. Here's the dude.
Wow.
Anyway. Photographer. I don't know what kind of camera that is. Do you know, Tim? That's what it was.
You can. Looks like old Kodak.
Just some of the little vignettes that I created around Brother Zoogling, the wife of the dignitary there. And the rest of them doing what sailors do on their free time.
Keep them busy.
The uniforms are too clean.
Yeah.
He's gonna weather and fix it.
Well, they have dignitaries coming on board.
Oh, yeah.
And then the rest of the guys doing what they usually do, just hanging out, hiding with the mascots.
Boat cat.
And we've been spotted.
Got a place ready for it in the house, Gene?
Oh, yeah.
Gonna add on to that.
Oh, I'm getting pretty close. I think the water turned out fairly decent.
Yes.
Have an overall view. And the placards that I brass etched. Now the framing around the water is aluminum, which I learned how to braze, and it created a channel which the plexiglass case will then fit down into. And there's the money shot.
When we used it.
Yeah, I think it is. That's a great picture. Well, that's because it is. Anyways, that's where we are today.
In making your order, did you use like the NRG seminar or
I took
combination?
great inspiration from Ron Nielsen and his NRG talk that he did. His water is just, I mean, it's dynamic, it's moving, it's just spectacular. And I obviously have a little different setting that he does. This is kind of an anchorage where the water is a little more flat. No, I studied his tutorial religiously and then went to Google school on a lot of other techniques. Nothing that I've done was original. I did have a slight slant on a couple of little things, but you know, it's just standing on other shoulders, and do the work out very well. I'll talk more about that as when I do the talk on it. And that's it. If nobody else has anything else to share, we'll take a Ron.
Some of you get the Beyond the Frame from the museum. It's a program where one of our videographers goes back into the archives and pulls out maritime pictures. I just saw her last presentation, and it's about the launching of the Virginia from the shipyard in 1928. Find it and see that. Knock your socks off.
It's on the website.
It's called Beyond the Frame. I get mine through my emails, but if you have to go to Google, just find Beyond the Frame Mariners Museum, and you'll see Kara's last. And then we're going to start up again, but this is the last of the series. And it's a painting that's done by a fellow named Walker, 1928.
All righty. If nobody else has anything else to show or share, we will take a brief moment here while
Just a few minutes.
Ryland sets up for his presentation on carving. All right. See you soon.